So this video is all about the infamous drawing that every single person learns about when they come into Rev. For those of you that have been through this process of neurointegration and nervous system regulation, you may have seen this ad nauseum. But what we wanted to do is put this on video so that way if you've tried to explain how this energy-based chiropractic practice works, this is something that you can share with other people. My name is Dr. Matt, and at Rev, we help people with nervous system regulation and helping people to live a more full life. So today, what I'm gonna share with you is a quick 10-minute video, and I actually used the video camera over me and I drew on a piece of paper, a little bit of fast forwarding to a few minutes from now. This is the first time I've ever done this, where I was doing the video and doing it. I was slightly off on my camera. So in the top left corner, you're not gonna see the letter D fully, but it's a letter D. So hopefully you guys still get everything out of it. And I didn't want to reshoot it because it was a really good video and I thought it really explained, the essence of what it is that we talk about with the people that go through these healing processes here at Rev. I'm going to talk about the spectrum of health. I'm going to talk about how our nervous system works, how we process and integrate these stressors and challenges and curveballs in our life, how energy flows in our body, and really most importantly, how when we begin to integrate all of our life experiences that have been stuck within our biology, what that actually means for the trajectory of our life. And if you find value in this video and it makes a little bit more sense about what this neurointegration process and this hands-on body work is all about, please share with a friend, please like, please subscribe. We want to share this message with as many people as we can and support our community, and we hope you find value in it. All right, so we want to help people understand how health and healing truly works, and what we try to do is combine our understanding of neuroscience, physiology, but also just practically how people navigate and swing through the phases of life. And for us at Rev, we always talk about a spectrum, and the spectrum is really where we all reside in our life, from physical, mental, emotional, social, spiritual, relationships. Every aspect of our life, we can all say we are somewhere along this spectrum. To simplify it, we talk about death and disease on one end and optimal health and optimal living on another end. If we break these things down to its simplest forms, we are 100 trillion cell organisms. When all 100 trillion cells are working exactly the way they're designed to, we live over here in this beautiful place called dynamic homeostasis. Catchwords out there, you've heard this before, balance and equilibrium, but really what this truly means is we have a high level of adaptability in our biology and in our physiology. For lack of a better term, when stuff hits the fan in our life, we're able to adapt very efficiently. Other end of the spectrum, we depart from homeostasis. What does this look like? Physical aches and pains, anxiety, depression, full-on disease processes, but essentially what's happening is some few or a whole lot of cells are no longer adapting, no longer doing the job the way they're designed to. And if we move this direction, we have cell breakdown, cell degeneration, premature aging, disconnection to who we are. Move this direction, cell growth, cell regeneration, increases of ATP, protein synthesis, and more connection to who we truly are. The journey of life is always going back and forth, right? We are growing and we're dying at the exact same time. That's what Hippocrates said. There's 100 trillion cells going through this regenerative process. In which way we move, it's the foods we eat, how we move our body, how we detox, all these different things that we talk about. But the big piece and what we really focus on is that the energetics that reside within our nervous system, aka our master control system, aka our brain sending afferent signals to all 100 trillion cells of the body and efferent signals back to the brain, that energy that resides within that system is the key. Because if we have 100% communication within the system, we are going to live much closer to here. not 100%, we live somewhere else. And the piece that we always share with people is, yes, your nervous system communicates to your heart, communicates to your liver, your lungs, your gallbladder, controls everything you do, walk, talk, breathe, all of that via this energetic system. But it's also your perception system of all of your life experiences, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, however old you are, you have had physical, mental, emotional, and chemical experiences, moving our body, working out, twisting, turning, physical, mental, emotional, the personal and professional responsibilities, relationships with mom, dad, coworker, husband, wife, kids, and chemicals, drugs, food, air, pollution around us. We are bombarded with these experiences. And if we think of our entire life and we plug in every experience we've ever had into a computer, we'd get this huge wavelength of vibrational input, the ups, the downs, the good, bad, and ugly of your life. And how we understand, how we explain this process of understanding how we process information, whether we're processing or not, is kind of like a computer system that we all have what's called a neural bandwidth or a neural capacity. To simplify it, the experiences within our bandwidth, we process well, we process efficiently, we integrate those experiences. They give us, feelings of peace, joy, fulfillment, gratitude. You integrate that experience and you move forward. The experiences that are outside of our capacity, these are the stressors, the challenges, the curveballs, and the wins of life. Typically, most people don't just have one or two stressors. They have many stressors over the years. That stress begins to become cumulative. These patterns of tensile patterns begin to build up within our nervous system, distorting our muscles, our ligaments, our fascia, our tissues, our cellular structures, changing our perception experiences, the way we process new experiences today, but also changes those communication pathways. Cells then get misinformation, they start misbehaving. When cells hit around this 50% functioning mark, this is what we like to call the tap on the shoulder from the body. This is the aches, the pains, the low energy. It's our body saying, hey, we don't want to end up here. So it gives you that sign and gives you that message. And if we continue to get to 25% or below of cellular function, this is when our body really begins not to just tap us on the shoulder, but begins yelling at us, right? These are the disease processes. This is the degenerative disc disease. This is the arthritis. This is the cancer, the autoimmune diseases picked up by the best testing out there that all has a sensitivity and specificity to them. So the example and analogy we give is, imagine we've been doing this dance back and forth for days, weeks, months, years, and decades. Hey, maybe we're not full on over here, and maybe a lot of us is over here, but some bits of our system are speaking to us. And say you have cells that are functioning around this 30, 40% mark. It's kind of like you're having a conversation with someone. Maybe you're on a Zoom call and the internet is going out and you can't hear 60 to 70% of the words that are coming out of that person's mouth on the other end, and vice versa. That's going to be a very frustrating conversation, and you're not going to be able to do what you need to with that information. The body, the brain, the cells, they act the same way. If they're not getting all that intelligence and flow, there's no way they can perform at their highest levels. And lastly, what begins to happen is that our body begins to shrink the size of our capacity, shrink the size of our bandwidth. Now, this looks different for different people. Sometimes it's, hey, I used to be able to go for a certain workout, a certain walk, a certain physical thing. Now, every time I do it, it's outside of my capacity, and this pain patterns, the neck pain, the headaches, the low back pain come up, and I can't do those things. Or end of the day, I don't have the energy or the motivation to do anything because I don't have anything left in the tank. Mentally, emotionally, someone says something at work, someone does something that normally shouldn't be a big deal, but for some reason you're processing, your bandwidth so small that day that it's outside of your capacity. And what we always share with people is that if we have had past traumas, past experiences that we have not fully integrated, the nervous system runs on 95% subconscious patterns and subconscious programming. So if we haven't integrated this stuff from yesteryear, it's almost as if this experience comes in, it triggers these old responses that we haven't been able to process. And before we know it, cortisol, adrenaline, epinephrine run through our body, and we are running a program and a pattern that's either causing the pain or causing the anxiety or causing us to not limit ourselves to what we truly know we can do and what we can handle. And so sharing all this with you guys, our approach is really multifaceted. It's understanding that all these experiences have led up to the bandwidth and the person that we are today. But it's also understanding that this is not permanent. And our whole approach and our whole understanding of this brain-body connection is that if we can start tuning in to this energy, tuning into our patterns, and just start paying a little bit more attention to it. Now, this is through movement, this is through breath, this is through awareness, and a big piece of how we support people is our neural integration process. And what we do is we help to shift how these patterns have been running, and we begin to open up these channels. And when we begin to open up these channels, the brain and the body and the cells of the body can start communicating more efficiently. We begin integrating a lot of these old experiences. More coherence is connected throughout this nervous system, and cells that have been reorganizing down here, they can slowly begin the process of reorganizing it, because again, you're a brand new body every 4 to 7 years through cell reorganization. When we do this over time, when we eat properly, when we move our bodies, when we focus on our mindset, we begin shifting these patterns. Truly amazing things begin to shift, not only in our physical health, but when this starts shifting as well, the big piece that we see a lot at Rev is that this bandwidth learns to begin opening up. Now, is it a straight line out like this? Absolutely not. But what begins to happen is when this opens up, this is why we're so passionate about what we do. This right here is people doing things greater in their 50s and 60s than they were in their 30s and 40s. This is what you used to not be able to do very well. Now it's within your bandwidth. And the other piece is, guess what? Life is always going to throw us these curveballs, always going to throw us these things outside of our bandwidth. But here's the big difference. If we're operating with this bandwidth, man, handling this is way different than when we're all the way down here. So it's about acknowledging that we've had all these experiences and not judging it. It's just sharing, really understanding that this has led you to this point. But again, you are a brand new body every several years. When we can start doing the right things on a daily and consistent basis, this begins to open up, which this is an awful picture of a nervous system opening up, but you get the gist. Our body can start moving this direction, and we can, instead of, taking 3 steps forward and 3 steps back, we can begin a journey up and to the right. And yeah, there may be dips along the way, but every time we go through that, we start integrating more, we take that next level, and we zoom out 3 months, 6 months, a year from where we first started, and we really begin to see like, oh yeah, I'm really starting to live on this end of the spectrum, my bandwidth is starting to open up, and that's when really the fun begins, because we can start doing more things that we truly want to do, and really just testing our limits. So I hope this helps, I hope this supports, and again, I just wanted to go over this with you guys to give you a general view of our philosophy, our understanding of the brain-body connection, how stress manifests itself, and really most importantly, how we can begin the journey living our optimal health and our optimal life.